This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey guys, welcome to your AEW coverage on the WWE Podcast. My name is Travis Hughes. Just to give you a little bit of background on me before we get right into the content I know you're here for. I am a co-host of a different podcast, the Trav and Rigney Show. That show is we do that about once a week. We talk about all things sports, really. Right now it's pretty heavy football, but we talk about NBA and baseball. We talk about college football and college basketball. We get into all kinds of things. We do some goofy things where we talk about, brackets about your favorite video games, or we draft your favorite TV shows of all time. We do some fun stuff like that. We have a YouTube channel, Trav and Rigney Show, a Twitter handle at the Trav and Rigney Show, where we do, we've done some stupid things where we've done the hot wing challenge where you can see Rigney, myself, and another buddy that's on the show consistently, eating the world's hottest wing sauces. And we've done the one chip challenge where, just a lot of dumb things we've done for pure entertainment purposes. But a little background on me. Again, my name is Travis. I am 33 years old. I am a father of two, and I am a husband. As far as my fandom is concerned, I have been a die-hard wrestling fan since I was a child. Probably, maybe we'll say like 26 or 7 years now. I've been a huge fan. When I say a huge fan, what I mean by that is I have watched wrestling consistently for almost 3 decades, but the inner workings of the behind-the-scenes stuff has been more like a 15-year obsession than a all my life thing. But it's something that's always captured my eye, and I've never grown out of it like many of you, I'm assuming. It's why you're here. It's why you're listening. It's why I reached out as soon as I heard that this was a thing. I really wanted to get out there and give some wrestling content. I know that my opinions they're not always going to be liked. That's okay. Feel free to reach out and yell at me. I'm okay with that as well. But this is, I love wrestling. I love all things wrestling. I listen to all sorts of wrestling podcasts. I watch Ring of Honor to New Japan, AEW, obviously WWE. I watch some Impact. Although Impact is probably my least favorite. Sorry, you Impact fans. It's probably my least favorite. But I am such a huge fan that I cannot consume enough of it in a given week. There is plenty of it to go around. So with all that being said, guys, you got about 30 minutes of having to listen to me, and I kid, of course, you don't have to do anything, but I want to cover both last week and this week, though, because there's so much stuff to cover. I'm going to just touch on a lot of things. Last week was a huge week. I wasn't able to do it last week. I was pretty under the weather, though I wish I could have started. I sounded ridiculous. You wouldn't have wanted to listen to me anyway. So I'm going to touch on some things. I won't be as specific. I promise I'll get a lot more detailed going forward. But I'm just going to touch on a few things, some notes I wrote down. The paper I have here for notes is insane. The last week, if I'm not mistaken, was the Grand Slam episode of Dynamite. And man, did they deliver. You got everything you could have wanted in a televised episode like that. The AEW All-Atlantic Championship, the tournament finale of the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, the Ring of Honor World Championship, the AEW Tag Team Championships, the AEW Interim Women's World Title. Oh my goodness. Some debuts, wink, wink, and we'll talk a bit about that as well. But touching on it real quick, the AEW All-Atlantic Championship between Orange Cassidy and Pac. Now, I know that Orange Cassidy has a huge following and people love him. And I think he's great and entertaining. I am not nearly as big a fan as everybody else is. Maybe, again, guys, feel free to reach out and yell at me. I'm okay with all of that. I tend to, and you're going to get this feeling from me, I tend to lean real heavily on the heels. I just think, in my experience, the heels do the better work. I know that not everybody feels that way, but from what I've seen, just the heels just do better work. This is not a surprising outcome with Pac retaining here. This is not, I don't think this really surprised anybody. But Pac did win, and there's no real surprise there. I can't really dwell too long because there's so much to get to. But the AEW interim women's championship, Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Athena, and Serena Deeb. This match was exactly what you expected. I have really grown to appreciate the AEW's women's roster more. I have taken the stance that WWE's was much, much better, the women's roster, but AEW's they're really coming along. They're really putting great wrestling out there. I just think in the past they've been lacking, and they're getting so much better. Toni Storm was your winner here, but that's not really what you guys want to talk about, is it? No, it was Saraya, her debut, or Paige as she's formerly known as in WWE, made her debut. A couple things here. Man, she looks great. I get the impression she's wrestling, although I don't quote me on that. I'm not sure the details surrounding how that works with being medically cleared. I understand, she had some things medically going on that prevented that in WWE. She's still pretty young, guys, believe it or not. I know this place went absolutely bananas for her debut here. I admit I was one of the people saying Saraya. She has, now that Dynamite this week has come and gone, she has made it a point to let you know that is not how you say it. They said it a couple times. But in just her short amount of time already on AEW, and I'm sort of bleeding over this week and last week with her because this has been one of the biggest talking points all week, was her debut. She mentioned tonight in her promo that it's good to finally have a boss that actually listens to me. And I have to be honest with you guys, I rolled my eyes because this is such a overplayed song. We get it. No, everybody who comes from WWE to AEW they didn't like Vince McMahon, or they didn't like the way Triple H did something, or how Talent Relations did something. We get it. You didn't like the environment in WWE, so you moved to AEW. We don't need to hear it. It doesn't need to be the cheap heat, if you will, every time somebody debuts that you're scorned. We get it. You didn't like where you were, and now here you are. I think maybe we can do something a bit more original in that regard. We don't have to consistently drag WWE into it. If the goal is to have your own show and have it be better than that show, you're gonna have to stop bringing them up. Like, you cannot ride the coattails, even if you're using them in their name in a negative regard. You will just always be considered in the shadow if you continue to use them as the catalyst to promos for these people who are debuting. Which, if I can get off topic for a second, is another sort of pet peeve I have with AEW. This was a wrestling company that prided itself on having their own talent, and yet they have brought in WWE superstar after WWE superstar, and I say that WWE superstar part with a bit of a wink. I know that's a very goofy way to call them wrestlers and the talent, but they have brought in so many that it has sort of defeated the purpose of ever even saying that this was their own show and that their own talent. And they're just, you want to try to avoid becoming WWE 2.0. I know that a lot of people probably listening are here for their AEW content. They don't want to hear the AEW bashing. And I promise you, that's not what I'm here to do. I love AEW. I just want to see them do things that make it better. I would love to see them win this war, this weekly war. I think that before Vince left, you were getting a largely better product out of AEW, and it really wasn't close. The pay-per-views were night and day the better shows. It wasn't even close. Now, obviously, because Vince has been ousted and Paul Levesque is in charge, and he's doing better things, and WWE is becoming a lot more watched. But still, AEW, I think, is pumping out the better weekly wrestling, which is not a surprise that they've been doing that since the moment they became a weekly televised show. I just think they need to move away a little bit from the clinging to WWE and bringing in all of their ex-talent. Because sooner or later, what's going to happen is, I say what's going to happen, it's already happened. You're going to have the AEW talent jump ship to WWE. I overlooked it when I said it the first time because realistically, Cody was a WWE talent before he was an AEW talent. But you get my point. You're going to start having the ship jumpers in the other direction as well. So the grass is not always greener. I'd love for AEW to move away from the WWE coattail riding a bit. But Saraya, there she is, Paige, back in the flesh. This place went insane for her. Well-deserved pop. Like I said, she looks great. I hope we get to see her in the ring. I can't find a lot of information on whether or not that's going to be the case. But she looked great, and let's hope we see her. Moving right along here, though, the Acclaimed over Swerve in Our Glory. Man, another huge reaction. Sometimes I thought I was alone in my love for the Acclaimed, but they got an insane reaction. It was really awesome to see. It was really cool to see. I know that people really love Swerve in Our Glory, but the Acclaimed were overdue, I think. And listen, if you want to give yourself a good laugh, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably done this before, go on YouTube and search, the Acclaimed and some of their rapping antics and some of their rips. They're just too funny. They do such a good job. They're so entertaining. Although I know the rapping thing isn't exactly original, but still they do great. They're going to be so entertaining. I'm so excited for this title reign. Just to keep the ball moving, though, the Ring of Honor World Champion match there, Claudio versus Jericho. I had a bit of a bone to pick here. I love Ring of Honor. I love Claudio, formerly Cesaro. Excuse me, I'm already forgetting WWE names. I don't really understand the making Jericho the champion. I feel like sort of in the direction I was going with the WWE thing. I don't feel we need to cling to some of these older guys for relevancy. I think giving Claudio the opportunity to sort of make this reign his own and not have it be ended by Jericho. Now, there could be a huge part of this I'm missing. I've been down and out a few weeks. Maybe there's a detail I'm missing about Claudio and how does he have an injury of some kind? I didn't understand the logic of dropping the title to Jericho. I assumed it was for face value purposes, getting Ring of Honor more notice by having somebody like Chris Jericho be your main champion. That is what initially popped in my head. Please, somebody let me know if I'm way out of bounds there. But I wasn't a huge fan of that. I hope, they have something in line here that creates a more creative environment for that Ring of Honor World Championship. The tournament finale for the AEW World Championship, Bryan Danielson, oh my goodness. Guys, you're going to have to forgive me. I'm going to do that so often. Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. If you had asked me before, like when this tournament first started, when they first announced it, right? The EVPs and the CM Punk thing, which I'll get to in a minute. When that all happened and they started this tournament, and I saw Bryan Danielson, I would have bet you every penny I have to my name that he was winning this. I felt that more confirmed as the tournament went on and he made it into the finals. I'm like, oh, this is his. This is his to lose. Making Moxley a 3-time champion didn't seem like the right call to me. I don't know about you guys. I just felt like Danielson was the right move here. I think he's got the following. I just don't understand why they didn't do that. I'm not going to complain too much. I really love Moxley, but I felt like it was a bit of a weird move to not. And I wrote here, Moxley new, in parentheses, again, 3-time AEW World Champion. Just because it's, they're not reinventing the wheel here. I thought for sure this was going to be Danielson. It wasn't. We move on. I'm sure there'll be a great feud happening, and we'll see where it goes. But such a great card happened here in Dynamite, last week's Dynamite. This week's wasn't so bad either, but as far as championships are concerned with the Grand Slam, this was unbelievable television. Like, you just don't see stuff like this anymore. Like, a card this jam-packed was just absolutely bonkers. But moving on to this week a little bit. Actually, before I do that, I want to mention something real quick, and I have a feeling I'm going to go on a tangent. The EVPs and the CM Punk thing, I know this is one of the biggest things talked about right now, but that was one of the more mind-boggling things I've experienced in watching wrestling in my entire life. I don't, even for the life of me, know what happened. I understand the timeline of events, but I just don't know how they got from one spot to the other. How this escalated so quickly is beyond me. And I have 2 points I want to make. The first point is, as the EVPs are concerned, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, that these guys, I feel like, are getting a bit entitled almost. Like, you helped create this giant company and they've done so well, but there should be a bit of not forgetting where you came from here. And part of me levels with them. Like, you don't, your goal was to not bring in just WWE guys and make this a WWE, wrestling company all over again. But I just feel like there's a bit of entitlement happening. I can't quite put my finger on it, and maybe I don't quite have my finger on the pulse with this. You guys let me know how you feel about it. But CM Punk this is the bigger point I want to make. This is not new for him. There are a lot of people who are like, who CM Punk can do no wrong for. That man can do absolutely no wrong. And I got news for you guys. This is, everywhere he seems to go, he has a problem like this. It's somebody backstage. He has a problem. And I know that people like to give the excuse like, Punk just says it how it is. He's abrasive and he's not afraid to speak his mind. That's not always a good thing. And just because you speak your mind doesn't mean the words you're speaking are always true. Dial it back, man. You don't have to be that guy everywhere you go. It is abrasive and it rubs people the wrong way. And if I read the reports correctly, his party threw the first punch, figuratively and physically threw the first punch. I don't understand it. And then Tony Khan has absolutely no grip on this situation at all. Maybe now, weeks later, but absolutely no grip on the situation. To my understanding, today's the 28th. I'm recording this a little while after Dynamite. If I read that correctly, that AEW is looking to buy out CM Punk. Like, how did we get here that is a thing, that they're looking to buy him out? I am actually blown away by this entire thing. I was a bit sad, that it didn't work out. But at the same time, and man, you guys are going to hate me for this, this could be a bit of a blessing in disguise. I think maybe not having CM Punk could be better in the long run. You're going to always feel this pressure that he needs to be in the spotlight at all times. And that's being taken away from somebody, maybe one of your younger talents that you have as a budding superstar. I mean, I don't want to keep like going back and back and back, but like this probably has something to do with like, you know, MJF's issue when he called out Tony Khan. And I know that there are people who still think that was a work, and feel however way you want about the MJF thing. He's back and doing his thing again. But one of the points to be made here is that you do have a roster full of young people that aren't ex-WWE talent that deserve this light. So maybe CM Punk being gone is going to be a good thing moving forward. I don't know that that's the case. Again, don't quote me on a lot of this, guys. I know I sound like just an absolute bobblehead right now because I'm catching up. I've been so down and out the last few weeks. I'm catching up myself, but that whole situation was something completely different than I'll have to look more into it, but I don't know, it blew me away. But I'm excited to see some of these guys come back to TV. I hope everything gets sorted out appropriately, and you know, there's not too much missed out on. We'll leave it at that. Well, I'll wait till more details come out. And guys, feel free if you know information to reach out and let me know that I'm a dum-dum. But I'm going to move into Dynamite this week so I don't run out of time on you guys here. Dynamite this week, the show opened with the Jericho Appreciation Society. I don't mind this, right? Because if the goal in putting the Ring of Honor World Championship on Jericho was for the face value, then getting it front and center to start AEW is the right move. If that was what you were going for, then this is the right call. Lots of talking here, yelling, pizzas for some reason, purple jumpsuits. This was a lot about Daniel Garcia, the Ring of Honor Pure Champ, joining the Jericho Appreciation Society, which he pushed back on. But this ended up in a match between Danielson, who interrupted, and Matt Menard. This is a pretty tried and true way to start the show, you know. You get out, you cut a promo, things get heated, matches start. And this is pretty tried and true. It works. It is what it is. I'm interested to see what Daniel Garcia does going forward. I think he looked, maybe it's just me, guys, he looked a bit uncomfortable initially, like when he was doing the face-to-face with Jericho, and then he started talking loudly and asking everybody if this would be entertaining or if that would be entertaining, and but he felt uncomfortable at first. I didn't know what was going on with him. It looked weird to me initially, but there was that match. Then they had the world title eliminator, Moxley and Juice Robinson. This was hard hitting. I don't know why I expect anything less from matches with Moxley to just be blood. Somebody's gonna bleed and it's gonna be hard hitting. So, that was a Moxley win. Sorry, guys. I wrote here, and I'm sorry if I keep going back to it. Saraya mentioned the WWE thing, or excuse me, she didn't mention it, but she mentioned a boss that listens, and it really irked me. It irked me the whole show, honestly, that she felt the need to say that. But the one thing that AEW did do this today, and I just am never a fan of. There's never an occasion where I think it's okay. Are squash matches, and Ricky Starks had himself one tonight, and I will never be a fan of these squash matches. There was Toni Storm versus Serena Deeb for the women's interim title. Was Toni Storm again? You know, like I said before, the women these women matches are getting better. They're focusing a lot more on their wrestling. The roster is becoming so much more well-rounded. I'm really, really loving what I'm seeing from AEW's women roster. I'm running out of time a little bit on you guys, so I'm trying to speed it up. Bandito versus Jericho for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Yeah, I mean, you guys know how that went down. I'm okay. Like I said before, I'm okay with Jericho holding this title. Or excuse me, I'm not okay that he won. But if he is going to be the Ring of Honor World Champion, then I'm okay with the idea that you're going to have him win. You're going to have him be front and center. He's going to close out. He opened the show and closes out the show. And I'm good with all that if that was the goal. I just would rather it be somebody else. So really, guys, there's a few things I missed. I understand. I'm gonna get a lot more into MJF next week. I have a lot of things I'd like to say about him. I know I didn't really touch on him tonight. He cut a promo up in the box and got attacked, which is always funny to see when they have the empty box to themselves and they get attacked. But I'm going to talk a bit more about MJF next week, and I'm excited for that. This was a brief introduction to me, guys. Let me know if there's something you don't like or something you'd like me to touch on more. I promise I'm going to be more specific in the future. I had a lot on my mind. I wanted to get out there as an intro for you guys. Hopefully you enjoy this coverage. Like I said, I'm going to be covering Dynamite, potentially Rampage on a given week, all of the AEW pay-per-views because they're always phenomenal. I can't even think of one that was like really bad. So it's going to be a ton of fun, guys. I'm really excited, and I'm really honored to be a part and allowed to bring this to you. Again, reach out to me. TJH_7 is my Twitter handle. Yell at me like, dude, you suck. What are you talking about? Just anything. I'm here for it. I engage, so I never mind a debate or two. So, guys, thanks again for listening, and I can't wait to talk to you guys next week. See you.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.